If you followed along with the course so far, you spent some time working in the flow.microsoft.com site. Whether you knew it or not, you've been working in a specific environment the whole time. An environment is simply a grouping of flows and apps, more on this in a minute. All Flow users will have access to a default environment within which they can create and manage their flows. So if I switch over to my Flow site, I notice here that I've been working in the Contoso default environment. In this video, we'll talk all about environments, when you should use them, and how you can provision them in the Flow Admin Center. An environment is a space to store, manage, and share your organization's flows, apps, and business data. With a new environment, you can also create a common data service database to host your business data. Users within your organization have access to one or more environments. Environments are geolocated, which means that the flows, apps, and business data that live within an environment will be in the region where their environment is located. Environments serve as containers to separate flows that may have different roles, security requirements, or target audiences. How you choose to leverage environments depends on your organization and the flows you're trying to build. For example, you may choose to only build your flows in a single environment. You might create separate environments that group the test and production versions of your flows. You might also create separate environments that correspond to specific teams or departments in your company, each containing the relevant data and flows for each audience. Finally, you might also create separate environments for different global branches of your company. For example, if you're a multinational company that has branches in Australia, and Europe, and the United States, you could create a separate environment for each of those regions. So far in this course, we've focused on flow creators, but environments are created and maintained by administrators. You might have both roles, so you can access the Flow Admin Center and work with environments. If not, this information can still be helpful when you talk to your admin about setting up environments. Let's walk through the process of creating an environment and assigning roles to users to access those environments. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the Microsoft Flow Admin Center, which is admin.flow.microsoft.com. I have two tabs here, Environments and Data Policies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the New Environment button and provision a new environment. In this case, let me give it a name. So I'm going to create this environment for all my team members located in the state of Washington. So we'll call it Contoso, Washington. And we'll select the region to be United States. And we'll go ahead and create an environment. OK, now that my environment is provisioned, I notice here Contoso, Washington as provisioned today. I'll go ahead and click on it. And from the Security tab, I can now assign various roles to users within my environment or within my company. I have two types of roles I can choose from. I can either choose to make my colleagues environment admins, or I can make them environment makers. Now, as an administrator, I have the ability to create data loss prevention policies. I can add further users. I can set up a new database if I want, or I can also in the future use it to manage resources. As an environment maker, I have the ability to create flows and Power Apps within that enterprise, within that environment. In addition, any resources that are uploaded and used within this environment, like custom APIs and gateways, are also available to me as a maker in this environment. So let's go ahead and add a new user as an environment maker. OK, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to search for Tony East. I'm going to add him to my environment. And I'll go ahead and click Save. So now both Tony, as well as me as the environment admin, have access to this environment. And I can confirm that by going over to the Flow site and refreshing this page. So notice here that I have access to the Contoso, Washington environment. If I see Tony East's view, I also notice that Tony also has access to the Contoso, Washington environment. So now any resources that live in this environment, like custom APIs or on-premise data gateways, or even CDM databases, both Tony and Chris have access to those environments. So you now understand the benefits of environments and how to create them and grant access to users. Even if you're not in an administrator role, it's really helpful to know how this works.